All right, guys, I'm going to talk about, give you my thoughts on pay structure in MMA, pay structure in the UFC, and how it's going to absolutely ruin the sport. In mixed martial arts, in the past, we've seen guys fighting for very little money, and winning the fight was the most important thing to them, because they're not getting a lot of money. Fighting for 10 grand, fighting for 5 grand. They just want to win. They just want to win. And I'm going to use the Nick Diaz versus Anderson Silva fight as an example of how money just is going to ruin the sport. Because if you take Nick Diaz, when he was in Strikeforce, he did end up getting paid quite a bit in all those Strikeforce fights, but he had to work his way up to that point. He was not fighting for a lot of money. 20 grand here, 50 grand. And then when he started winning, he started getting paid more, $175,000 a fight. Nick Diaz did in Strikeforce, 200 grand. I think some of those fights, they paid Nick Diaz. When he fought Cyborg, Nick Diaz got either $175,000 or $200,000, and Cyborg got $20,000. Okay. So Nick Diaz worked his way up, and then of course when he retired, now I'm gonna give you an example. For Nick Diaz to get to that point where he's making 200 grand a fight, he had to fight and come to fight and win fights, and that's what he did, and then he got rewarded with that money. The problem is, I'm going to use this as a perfect example of how the money, Nick Diaz is retired. Hey Nick, you want to come back and fight Anderson Silva? We're going to pay you like $300,000. I don't know what he made. I don't care. I know it was a lot of money. Say they gave him 200 grand or 300 grand. It's probably like 300, maybe more. I don't even know. But either way, Nick Diaz hadn't made any money in years. And let's just break it down for you like this. Say they paid Anderson Silva 300 grand. Nick Diaz 300 grand to come back and fight each other. That fight, to me, I hated that fight. Some people are like, oh, Nick Diaz is neat to see him go in there and hang with Anderson Silva and not get knocked out. Yeah, but imagine if it was like this. Because Nick Diaz was just there to clown around and fight a little bit and make a bunch of money. And that's what happened. You wouldn't have seen him doing that early in his career, because if he had come out and performed like that, he never would have got to the point where he's going to make 200 grand in a fight. Because nobody's going to pay you money to come in there and just dick around like that. They didn't even really fight. Now and I can prove it. Now, say instead of giving one person 300 and the other 300,000, I'm just making up those numbers now, but they're pretty close. Okay. I mean, what if you had done this? The winner gets 580,000. And the loser of that fight gets 20. Now what would happen? Do you think Nick Diaz would have come in there and acted like that? Heck no. Heck no. He wouldn't have. He would have come in and said, man, 580 grand if I beat Anderson Silva. We would have seen a real fight, man. We would have seen a real fight with a lot on the line. And that's what fighting should be. This is not a points game where we, throw a rubber ball around. This is something important. Okay, you could die. This is a fight. You could get killed. This is not a game. And that's the way the pay structure should be in MMA. It should be a lot on the line. Your life is on the line. Okay, but there shouldn't be this coming around and making a mockery, a joke out of fighting. If you're going to do that, then you shouldn't even be fighting in the first place. So that's how I feel about that. The pay structure should be reworked to reward people for winning and get rid of judges and points and all that. Either get submitted, and that's the thing. If there's not a finish in the fight, if it goes a draw, neither guy should make very much money. I honestly believe that. We're going to see better fights. The fights are going to have meaning, and it's going to create real fighting. If it goes to a decision, it should be a draw. Neither guy should get a big paycheck because neither guy earned their money. They didn't fight. We just seen a waste. And GSP wouldn't be making all that money for laying on people for 5 rounds. That we had to waste our time. I mean, I didn't watch that stuff. I didn't watch GSP fight. I really couldn't have cared less, Oh, GSP's fighting Josh Koscheck. I mean, who cares? Never cared about it. Want to see fights. All right, I see. That's how I feel about that. See you later.